once again, guys, welcome to my channel. Gama lami nguCindy wakwaKhanyile, and this channel is all mommy stuff. I am Umaunana and I'm so glad you joined me today. So if you have been watching my videos, my first video was me introducing the channel, and then my second video was how I met my baby daddy. Okay, so njengamanje I'm just going to, it's sort of like a continuation from my story of how I met him, because obviously this thing zihamba ngolayini. You meet them, they gila you, and then you break up with them. So the part 2 is basically on how he gillaed me, or how we gillaed each other, and to a point where we then decided to no, go rough. Well, I decided to no, this thing is not working anymore. Firstly, guys, I want to tell you this, most of the time when in our black communities, elokishini and stuff and everywhere, la skhulela khona, you know, like wherever, like whether ukhulele in the village or wherever, you would have a child, and then the thing is, you are always influenced to ba mbekezelele ubaba wengane yakho. You can't just leave ubaba wengane. So I want you to listen to the story and also bear in mind ukuthi wakukhona naloko kumina ukuthi, you know, I need to stick with this dude, ne? So a relationship was okay, as you have mentioned, ukuthi it was all roses, it was all glitter and gold, until I fell pregnant with my second child. So by the time I found out I was pregnant with my second daughter, already I could see myself like moving on and basically breaking up with him, because izinto weren't okay. I remember I was with him back at his place, and then a lot happened that day in terms of women. I discovered that he was seeing a lot of women, you know, and it was just so overwhelming. And I told myself there and there that, you know what, this is not the life I want to live. This is not the energy I want my child to consume, basically, because now it was always about me and him fighting. And we never lived together, but we would go visit, and every time we visit we would fight, and you know, the child would be crying in the background, and it was all back and forth between me and him. And I decided, no, this is not working out, not a problem. So I went back home that Friday. It was a Friday. I went back home, and mind you, at that time I wasn't at school. I dropped out of school. I was raising my first daughter, so I was just basically a stay-at-home mom who took care of Umtana. Again, every chance I'd get, I'd go visit the baby daddy. Okay, so it was a Friday, and then I went back home. When I went back home, I was staying at my uncle's place with my uncle and my aunt. When I went back home that very same Friday, I wouldn't say I wasn't feeling well, but my aunt was pregnant. Then when I got home, she was like, she needs to get something at the mall. So I was just gonna sit, you know, and wait for her, basically, which was not a problem. I was with my baby. So as I was sitting there, I remember I was watching, there was a program that used to play on TLC about pregnant women who were giving birth and stuff like that. I don't remember the name of the program. And all of a sudden, this woman was going into labor. Her water broke, and I was so disgusted. Like, I was so disgusted. I started feeling like I could vomit there and then. I rushed to the toilet, and then I obviously let it all out. So at that time, nothing clicked, you know, that maybe I might be pregnant. My aunt came back, and when I came out of the toilet, she was sitting with my firstborn child. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." Okay, we continued sitting and sitting and sitting. So I was hungry, and I made myself food. I made myself an egg. I couldn't eat the egg. The smell was just too much. I ran again, throughout, you know, just there and there. Okay, when I came out, my aunt was like, you are gonna put me in so much trouble with your mom. I'm like, why? He's like, you pregnant? I'm like, no, I'm not pregnant. Anyways, we went out when we bought a pregnancy test, which proved that indeed I was pregnant. And remember, guys, this was the time where I had said enough is enough. I really wanted to leave him, you know. I wanted to focus on being a mummy and just leave him. Let him live his life, because he was living like a small boy, of which at that time he was, you know. Now there's a problem. I'm pregnant again. Nah, ne. Now I put one and one together, but I'm not getting two now. I'm getting four. I'm getting six, but I'm not getting the actual answer, which is two. My aunt is like, listen, you went. Oh, by the way, when I arrived home, I sent him an SMS and I told him, you know what, it's over. And as arrogant as he was, he never said anything. He saw the SMS, but it was like, I think it was a thing of roots. I know she'll come back anyways. My aunt is like, okay, to avoid any situation, you know, just call him and tell him, you know, but also try to tell him face to face. Okay, so now I call the guy. And I'm like, dude, I need to see you. He's like, what's up? I'm like, no, we need to talk. I need to see you. And he's like, yo, I'm working. And I'm like, please, after work, can you drive here? Because I need to see you. Okay. He was like, okay, no, I'll come. Of which he did. I remember when he called me, guys, and said he was outside. Yeah. That was like... I don't think the hardest part was telling him I'm pregnant, but the hardest part was realizing that this guy is still gonna be a part of my life in a way, you know. Because now we're gonna have a second child. I am going to need support from him, you know. But anyways, I took my first daughter and I took Tando, which is my first daughter. And we went out, and obviously the baby was excited to see her father. They were playing, they were bonding and everything. And then after a while, 10 minutes into the car, he's like, so you said you wanted to talk. I'm here, let's talk. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he says, anyways, I'm hungry. I just got back from work, so I haven't eaten. I bought a takeaway, so let's eat. Now the problem starts there. He had bought chicken, and I don't remember from where, but it was chicken. I remember well that it was chicken. And he opened the bag, and as soon as he opened it, the smell just got to me, and I just went out and I threw up. You know. I tried going back to the car, but immediately after like smelling the chicken, I just threw up again. Okay, finally I went to the house, got some water. My aunt is like, have you told him? I'm like, no, I'm telling him now. Drank some water and I got back to the car. Now it was okay. Now he decided he's gonna close the chicken for whatever reason. Okay, now he's like, what's up? And now I'm just like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna say this, you know. But he starts playing with his child, and he's like, ooh, mommy's pregnant. You're gonna have a sister or a brother. And he looks at me and says, is that the case? And I'm like, yeah. Just took a pregnancy test and I am pregnant. I am 100% pregnant. Okay. He's like, oh, that's great. I mean, we're going to have another child, whatsoever. He was very chilled about it. And I think it was more of him realizing, I'm not going anywhere. And by that time, there was another woman in his life whom we used to fight a lot about, you know. But to be quite honest, when I decided to break up with him, it was more like, I can see you love this girl and there is nothing I can do about it. So I'm just gonna, and then we can co-parent. I'll see where life takes me. That was the ish. Okay, after 2 weeks or whatever, but some time, I don't remember exactly, uh, he asked me to come visit him. Now we're no longer talking about the fact that we broke up. We are basically pushing our thing. We're back to where we were. Okay, I didn't refuse. Took a taxi, went to his place. Okay, so I was cleaning. I was cleaning on a random day at his place, and I stumbled upon some pictures. What are those pictures called? Are they saunas? But those baby pics. And he wasn't there. I asked him, like, are you expecting another baby? He was like, nah, the girl miscarried. It was that time when we were fighting. You know how men would be. And I was like, oh, okay. And then later that day, okay, it was bedtime, we slept. His phone kept ringing. His phone kept ringing, right? And it was the girl. Hi, he kept on making excuses, and he would tiptoe out of the bedroom and go talk to the lady. And at that point, I was just like, I'm gonna focus on. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna focus on the pregnancy and birth this baby, and we'll be over. But honestly, I was hurt. I was really hurt by how I felt like he wasn't being considerate. I was very young at that time. I didn't know anything. And here I am with my second baby. I'm so confused. My mom doesn't know. It's a lot. I felt like I needed him in my corner at that time. So the visit was over. Me and my baby, we went back home, and then life went on. Now, all of a sudden, after that night of the unstopping calls, when I went back home, I couldn't get hold of him. Um, I was like heavily pregnant, and at some point in my life, fast forward to that, he was just not there anymore until I went into labor and I had to give birth. So then my sister called him, and he rushed to get me, because I remember with my second baby, it was like a back and forth thing of labor. 1 minute I'll be in labor, and then I'll get to the hospital, sleep, and then the next day they'd say, no, we're discharging you, there's nothing in. So it was like a thing of that. So we'd go back and forth with him like that. And then eventually the labor pains were just intense, and my sister called an ambulance for me. Anyway, fast forward, I gave birth to a beautiful baby daughter, which is Usbahle, my last born. And then he fetched me from hospital. Sorry, but just, I've never really narrated the story, so it's just taking me like back, to what had happened, how I felt at the time, and where I am now. So I gave birth to Nana, and then Unana was getting stronger. She was becoming a baby, stronger. It was about 3 months. He asked, can you guys visit me? I remember asking him if he was sure, if it wouldn't offend his girlfriend, because personally I was just over the whole thing. Then it was like, no, that didn't work out. I'm trying to work things out with you now. It's like, okay, we'll come. And then he fetched us. The next morning, he went to work. And then later that day, I hear a woman shouting his name at the gate. I was on a call with my sister, and then I hear this woman. I'm saying, hey sis, actually there's a woman who's shouting Mang's name, baby daddy's name here. And it's like, is that Because there was a backstory to this woman, because I remember she called me when I was on labor and she said some nasty things. So we already had known her name, but we didn't know her. So my sister is like, is there a chance that this woman is, she said the woman's name. And I'm like, I think so. I'm not sure. My sister's like, go out and tell her that baby daddy is not here. So as I went out, I dropped the phone, and as I went out, my daughter, my eldest daughter, followed me. And then this woman looked at me and she said, are you Tando's mother? And I said, yes, I am. Who are you looking for? And she tells me, no, it's fine, you know. And then she started crying and she stood at the gate. And I asked him, are you? I was referring to the girl who had called me, because at the time I was in labor and I couldn't talk to her because she was being so nasty. I couldn't talk to her. I just took the phone and I gave it to my sister. And I'm like, are you? He's like, and then I became so angry. What had happened when I was in labor just came back. And I'm like, why did you call me when I was in labor and this was happening? It's like, this guy hasn't been truthful to me. But I'm like, why are you calling me and saying all those nasty things to me? Because I'm not the one who made promises to you. She was like, no, I did apologize, and I did tell your sister I apologized to your sister, and then this guy didn't tell me that you guys are still together. I didn't even know that you guys are gonna be having a second baby together. Ini. Oh, okay. And she was heavily pregnant, by the way. She was pregnant. Hey, now I'm like, okay, no, whatever. But the guy's not here, and I'm not gonna let you in. She's like, let me in. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna let you in. This is not my place. If the guy's gonna let you in, then you're gonna wait for him, and he's gonna let you in. Guys, later, because I remember I tried calling the guy, and the guy was like, hey, Johnny. I'm like, when are you coming back? I didn't really tell him what was happening. Hi, guys, saying, I'm working, I'll come back later. I miss you guys. In. Okay, not a problem. The guy came back later. It was now dark. So I hear the car at the gate. I just sit down and I focus on my kids. How all of a sudden the car stops at the gate, and then it's shining lights towards the house. I'm hearing a lot of noise. The guy comes in. He's making a lot of noise. He's shouting. Whatever. And I'm like, oh, the girl comes in. I'm like, oh, who's this? The girl goes past me and goes to the bedroom, of which the bedroom my baby was sleeping in there. And I'm like, what's happening? Now I'm trying to be like, hey, like, my baby's sleeping here. The girl is like, she wants to sleep and she's gonna sleep where she's used to sleeping when she's here, whatever. Guys, I had a 3 months baby. Like, what was happening in my mind at that time was like, I'm done. I'm good. I'm done. I'm not gonna spend, because like I could tell the lady is pregnant, so she's gonna be a part of his life forever, because now they have a baby together. And obviously, by judging by the man's actions, I could see that I'm no longer loved. So what was left for me to do now? I remember I did something I never thought I'd do. I went and I called my uncle. I called my uncle. I couldn't talk. I couldn't say a word. I just cried. And my uncle asked, where are you? Because I think he had heard stories from my aunt, because my aunt was someone I confided in, so she knew what was happening. So my aunt sort of told her what was happening, and my uncle did me a huge favor that time. He just said, where are you? And I told him, I'm at this place. He said, okay, direct me to the place. And I told him, listen, you're gonna drive, and when you arrive, and when you see a garage, that's where I'll be waiting for you. Okay, now I said, my uncle had to drive all the way from Hammersdale to Pinetown to come fetch me and the kids. Not a problem. Well, it wasn't a problem to him. He's my uncle. So I sat, I just didn't utter a word. After that, I packed bags for my baby, and then baby daddy became angry. He's like, where you going with my kids? If you go and leave my kids, any. I couldn't be bothered, to be quite honest. And then at some point, the lady came out and she sat on baby daddy's car, and then baby daddy came out and sat with her in the car. I just wanted to be out there. And while they were sitting at the car, my uncle calls me. He's like, I'm almost at the garage. So now I had to go and fetch my uncle because my uncle didn't know where I was exactly. I remember I jumped out of the gate because he didn't want to open the gate. I jumped out of the gate, and when I come back, he had to open. Like, now I'm with my uncle, he ain't going to do shit, you boy. So he opened the gate. I didn't say a thing. My uncle didn't say a thing. He told me, get in, get the kids, get your stuff. And I remember I cried all the way home. I cried all the way home, but I told myself, Oguti, this is it. And from then, I just stopped the communication because really I wanted to heal. I wanted to focus on my kids. In any case, whenever I would call him so that he could, basically ondla bantwana, he never responded to my calls. So I had to do this alone, and I did it alone for the longest time until when he was okay, he decided to come back. Now Kona, he's come back, he's not consistent. So yeah, basically guys, that is what happened. I know that guys, sometimes it's like really hard. I know that I have sat with a lot of single parents, not just single mothers, that come tell you stories about how they became a single parent. But what I can say from my experience, guys, do not be blinded by those sweet words that men say to you. When you just see the red flags and you see that there's no longer love, please do yourself a huge favor and let go and let God. Let go and let God. I'm in a very good space in my life, I can say right now. Even though most things I haven't achieved, I'm not 100%, but judging from where I come from, I consider myself really strong. So anyways, not to be sad or anything, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope you're gonna do the right thing and thumbs it up, leave a comment, and also subscribe to the channel. Let the channel grow. I want really to look back in years to come and be like, this is where I started and this is where I am, because really I'm one person who's very hopeful. Thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time. Hey guys, it's me again. Huge disclaimer, this is a video that my baby daddy recently sent me. They were visiting him on the holidays. This is just to show you where I am basically with him when it comes to co-parenting. He is trying, I would say, but also this is just for me to reflect and like, wow, my babies have grown up. These are my two daughters. As you can see, they're having a ball, they're having a lot of fun. I just love them so much. They're literally everything to me. And when he sends me videos like this, it just reminds me that really it's the little things that we want as parents, communicating about such things, I'm sure means a lot even to them. So I'm very grateful that, yes, I've been through a lot with him, but also we are really co-parenting. It's not easy and it's not smooth as yet. There are times where we don't see eye to eye. There are times where we shout at each other and whatever, but look at what all of that effort has done for my babies. I'm truly grateful. Thank you guys for watching. Till next time, love you.